So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Julie Halston.
Yes, I've done a lot of shows with primary stages, and actually, I love working with Charles for a lot of reasons. He's so dear to me, but it's also great because I have a lot less costume and wig changes than he does, so it's always easier for me. You know, I guess we're all going to die tonight, right? I mean, this is the end of days, right? So drink up. I have to say, I've never been to this yotel. Is that where we are? First of all, where are we? I don't know where we are. I walked in, and I don't know, it looked like the kind of European Asian hotel that there's always a murder in. And I just thought, really? Are we going to have a fundraiser here? But we are, and I'm happy to be a part of primary stages. And I'm happy you're going back to 59 East 59, because I like it there. One of the things that I'm sure all of you at this point could do my act. You've seen it so many times. But one of the things, since we are all going to die tonight, I thought I might read one more time one of my favorite things in the whole world to do, because it's about love, and that is the New York Times wedding announcements. I love the New York Times wedding announcements. I find them very inspirational. I find them very moving. And, you know, again, since, you know, end of days, I thought, let's go out on a note of love. So, and this was from December, and actually, believe it or not, someone from the New York Times actually sent it to me and said, I think you'll enjoy this. And I have to say, I'm so glad they did, because I had missed it in the Sunday Times. Bling bling had the rings, and the pilot had her heart. In the weeks before the wedding of Sarah Ward and Jonathan Rupp in Georgia, the bride had become concerned about her ring bearer. Onassis had grown long in the tooth at the age of 21, and for a horse that old, the condition is not just an expression. Onassis's teeth had grown so long that it was hard for him to chew. He'd take a bite of hay and food would fall right out of his mouth. He was the same attractive Dutch warmblood with white face and white stockings that had carried Ms. Ward to the top of her junior equestrian competitions, but now Onassis was losing weight. Ms. Ward knew that traveling to the ceremony, a destination affair on a renovated dairy farm, would be hard on Onassis. Still, she hoped he would be at her wedding. As some personal lives are measured in past relationships and former beaux, Ms. Ward's life could be measured in horses. There was the horse she rode when she was 4, and then there was Happy, the horse her father, Bob Ward, bought for her 13th birthday. Happy was the one she fell in love with, and who made her fall in love with riding. The rituals of bridling and saddling, the thrill of galloping and jumping. He was unpredictable and difficult, however, and once threw her late mother, Diane Ward, so hard that it permanently seemed to affect her short-term memory. Next was Moose, a more patient and competitive horse, though Ms. Ward resisted the idea of infidelity. Happy is the love of my life, she said. I feel like I'm cheating on him. Eventually, she came around to Moose, and he excelled at the early shows. Oh, there were more horses. Bling Bling, Voltaire, Onassis, Ludwig Storgard. Spills leading to torn ligaments, a neck brace, too many concussions to count. When in 2008, she and Onassis traveled to the Pennsylvania National Horse Show, she finished top of her class. It was an incredible experience, she said. I never felt so proud of my horse. I don't really remember it because I had a concussion, but I've seen the video. Years later, in October 2013, there was one more horse, a miniature pony that Ms. Ward spent the afternoon trying and failing to catch in the pastures of her family's farm. At the end of the day, tired and wearing what she describes as a dirty outfit covered in horse slime, she met her sister, Mallory, at Lassiter's Tavern. Lassiter's is a casual place. On that night, it was full of regulars, including Jonathan Rupp, a commercial charter pilot, and his old friends from the Aeronautical University. The bar is one of those places they don't just know your name, they know what you like to drink, your birthday, and all your old stories. They watch your life unfold. This new woman in dirty riding gear caught Jonathan Rupp's eye. He was 7 years older and drinking a glass of red wine. They stayed at the bar talking until it closed. I wasn't entirely sure if he was just being nice and friendly until he tried to lean in and kiss me, but he was too polite to do it. I finally said, "Are you gonna do it or what?" So he kissed her. They met again at Lassiter's again and again. The bar of regulars couldn't help but notice. Jennifer Crow, the DJ in charge of trivia nights, observed the romance from a distance, and she leaned in and whispered to friends, "This is perfect." But of course, they said. The next chapter of Ms. Ward and Mr. Rupp's romance was spurred not by a horse, but by an opossum. 2 weeks after they met, one of Ms. Ward's dogs, a rescued coonhound, killed a marsupial in her backyard and left a mess. It was midnight. She couldn't bear to clean it up by herself. She texted Mr. Rupp, asked for help, and he was soon there with a headlamp and a shovel, wearing hiking boots. That night, after he shoveled away the opossum remains and hosed off all the blood, she talked with him about her parents. The story that anyone might know if you just Googled their names. In 2011, her father had been convicted of second-degree murder in the death of her mother and sentenced to 30 years in prison. Diane Ward died from a gunshot wound to the head. Bob Ward maintained that it was an accident. "I love my dad," Diane said, "and support my dad." Sarah, I mean. Mr. Rupp did not respond the way that others had. He was patient, Sarah said. He didn't judge me. He didn't judge my family, not once. And he let me tell it in my own time, which was very important to me. In the following months, they became a mutual tutelage. He brought her to the hangar in the mornings and got her into the cockpit. He explained the flight deck, the instruments, the pitch and the bank, the push and the pull, the endless buttons and lights and instruments. He took her up and he let her take control of the control column. I pulled so far back that the plane went, well, we were crashing. "We balance each other so well," said Sarah Ward. "He's good in crowds and I hate them. He didn't grow up with animals and I love them. We're never anxious about the same thing at the same time." She brought him to the barn and showed him how to bridle and saddle. He took her to grooming and riding moose. He would leave for days on end and then fly back and cook her dinner at her place. He picked up a recipe for steak and salsa verde. She liked his simple, comforting take on pasta carbonara. Sometimes on the weekends, he'd drive her down to Florida so she could see her father in prison. Instead of moving in together in Atlanta, they moved briefly to Florida so that she could see her father in prison more frequently. But then they decided to get a place of their own in California. As the day of the ceremony approached, it became clear that Onassis would have to sit this one out. Bling Bling, Onassis's best friend, stepped in to take his place. A little after 4 in the afternoon, 70 or so guests arrived at the farm. The crowd assembled outdoors, filing into the folding chairs, past a bucket of carrots and treats for the ring bearer. Bling Bling paced nervously, tearing clumps of grass from the turf. Gusts of wind blew in hard and cold. The ceremony had begun. Lily Citron, a former riding student of Sarah Ward's, led the horse down an aisle. He behaved, he kept his head down and lined up patiently with the other groomsmen until he caught sight of the bride in her Vera Wang dress. And then he just neighed and neighed and neighed. At the end, Robert Grant, a Universal Life minister, said, "Do you, Jonathan, swear to take the reins with Sarah and love her forever and ever?" "And do you, Sarah, promise to always fasten your seatbelt and love Jonathan forever and ever?" They said, "I do." Later, Jennifer, the DJ, who had been there the night at Lassiter's when the couple first met, hurried over to the booth to press play. There would be more trivia games to come. The bride and groom danced, and as they did, the groom wiped away the bride's tears. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Times wedding announcement.
She's a 6-time Emmy Award-winning actress and a Tony Award winner for her role as Mama Rose in the '89 revival of Gypsy. In 2011, she was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, it's such a delight to bring to you my old pal, Tyne Daly.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here, and I'm delighted that you're all here. And Jamie started doing this thing when I came back to New York, Jamie DeRoy and Friends, and she is, I think I might be her oldest friend here from school. Was it 65, I think? At any rate, thank you, Mr. Snow. Thank you, Julie, who always makes me laugh. Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. Thank you, Mr. Abel. And so Jamie and I are going to sing together in a minute. But before that, she has allowed me the opportunity to do something that I rarely get to do. I've been very lucky in this business. I've played a lot of interesting women. But in the fullness of time, there are parts that have passed me by completely. I just can't do them anymore. Probably not even on the radio. With your indulgence, I'm going to try this because I hate missed chances, don't you? And so with no further ado, allow me to offer you a song from 70, count 'em, 70 years ago. Don't let anybody take offense. It says here in this book, the average unmarried female, basically insecure, due to some long frustration, may react with psychosomatic syndromes, difficult to endure, affecting the upper respiratory tract. In other words, just from waiting around for that plain little band of gold, a person can develop a cold. You could spray her all day with a vitamin A and the bromo fizz. But the medicine never gets anywhere near where the trouble is. If she's getting a kind of a name for herself and the name ain't his, a person can develop a cough. It says here, the female remaining single, just in the legal sense, shows a neurotic tendency. See note. Note. Chronic organic symptoms, toxic or hypertense, involving the eye, the ear, and the nose and throat. In other words, just from worrying whether the wedding is on or off, a person can develop a cough. You can feed her all day with a vitamin A and the bromo fizz, but the medicine never gets anywhere near where the trouble is. If she's getting a kind of a name for herself and the name ain't his, a person can develop a cough. And furthermore, just from stalling the wedding trip, a person can develop la grippe. When they get on the train for Niagara and she can hear church bells chime, the compartment is air conditioned and the mood sublime. Then they get off at Saratoga for the 14th time. A person can develop la grippe, la grippe, la post-nasal drip with the sneezes and the wheezes and the sinus that's really a pip from the lack of community property and a feeling she's getting too old. A person can develop a bad cold.
Wow. Fabulous. You know, when I asked Tyne to be part of this, she said to me, why don't we do that duet we did at school? And I said, I remember doing a duet. I don't remember what it was. And she remembered.
Yes, we were assigned in Styles class at the American Musical Dramatic Academy by Karen Gustafson, and I'm going to talk about her for a minute. She was the girl director on Broadway. Everybody's pretending they hadn't been there, but she was a great big Swede. She had great breasts. Better than Jamie's. No. And she assigned us this duet, and same show, 50 years later. Anyway, so she said, okay. I hope I didn't cause any offense.
Well, at first I didn't say okay.
And so we are revisiting this after 70. This is from 1950.
Not,
well,
show,
darling,
yeah, not
show.
me. Okay, thank God. Because if I knew this when I was 5, I'm impressed with myself.
Anyway, because we are very good AMDA students and properly trained, we looked up the book. We read the play. And the play is a scene that is called Adelaide Meets Sarah. Or it might be called Sarah Meets Adelaide, but I'm not sure. At any rate, they meet for the first time. They talk over the fact they're going to give up these awful boyfriends, and they're about to leave the stage when they turn to each other and speak the cue line for this song. And I looked at the cue line. I thought, well, this is cool. We probably might be worthy of this this evening. So Sarah and Adelaide turn to each other and say,
What
are we? Crazy or something? At Wanamaker's and Saks and Klein's, a lesson I've been taught. You can't get alterations on a dress you haven't bought.
At every vegetable market, from Borneo to Nome, you mustn't squeeze the melon till you get the melon home.
You've simply got to gamble.
You get no guarantee.
Now doesn't that kind of apply to you and I?
You and me.
Why not?
Why not what?
Marry the man today, trouble though he may be, much as he likes to play, crazy and wild and free. Marry the man today, rather than
Maybe he's leaving town.
Don't let him get away.
Don't let him get away.
Hurry and
Track him down and marry the man today. Give him the friend after. Marry the man today and save the fist for after. Slowly introduce him to the better things.
Respectable, conservative, and clean.
Reader's Digest.
Guy Lombardo.
Rogers Pete.
Golf.
Galoshes Ovaltine. But marry the man today. Give him his early
Marry
the man today and save the fist for after.
Under
We screwed that one up.
Your turn.
Slowly introduce him to domestic life. And if he ever tries to stray from you, have a pot roast.
Have a headache.
Have a baby.
Have 2, 6, 9.
Stop! Marry the man today. Rather than sigh and sorrow, marry the man today and change his ways. Change his ways. Change his ways. Change his ways. Tomorrow. Tyne, Daly. Well, this brings us to our final guest, who I am such a fan of. I saw her in a play years ago at I think it was the Gramercy Theater on like East 23rd Street in a show called Diana. She was amazing. She won a Tony Award for her performance in the play Doubt in 2005, but she made her primary stages debut in Willie Holtzman's Something You Did at 59E59 Theaters. She received another Tony nomination for her performance in After Midnight, which was amazing. And most recently, I went to see her at Jazz at Lincoln Center at Rose Hall in an incredible work called Transformation. It was with Glenn Close, Ted Nash, and Wynton Marsalis. And it was spectacular, as she was, and she always is. She's a film and television favorite, and we're so happy that she could be with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Adraine Lenox. Yeah.
I guess we shouldn't have hugged. Corona. Thank you all so much. Thank you for coming out. And yes, I did, what was it, 2008 or 9 or something, when I was at Primary Stages in Something You Did. Yeah, I was Joanna Gleason and Victor Slazak. It was a wonderful cast. And I haven't been there since. But you've been away, and now you're going back to 59 East 59. So, bravo. All righty then. Well, let's sing a little song, shall we? There's a place for us, somewhere a place for us, peace and quiet and open air, wait for us somewhere. There's a time for us. Someday there'll be a time for us. Time together with time to spare. Time to learn. Time to care. Forgiving.
So